Let's get this out of the way now. Yes, last week there was the termination of two director roles recorded at Company's House at West Ham. The first was David Sullivan's, and the second was Kretinsky's wingman, who represents him on the board of the directors, Jiri Svark. I'm not going to pronounce that right, but I think you know who I mean. However, both directors were reappointed the following day, and apparently this was down to some kind of administrative correction. Who knows? And yes, linked to this, there were Qataris at the game on Saturday. Yes, the car of Ali Hussein Al Fardan was at the game. He's the vice chairman of Al Fardan Corporation and various other titles. He had a parking space in the director's box. And yes, Ali Hussein Al Fardan is a billionaire with a net worth of around £4 billion. But no, according to sources, senior sources, he was not there on business, but there as a guest of none other than David Sullivan. Now, apparently, Ali Hussein Al Fardan comes to several games each season and is always there using different vehicles. So the theory that the Qataris are about to take over West Ham has again been poo-pooed from the very top. But might Ali Hussein Al Fardan become an investor in West Ham at some stage in the future? Well, he might be interested if Kretinsky decides to cash in. Not that he'll want to with all the dividends he's getting. Or he may want to eventually buy the gold shares that are still up for sale. Until that time, let's focus on the here and now. And before I do that, a shout out to Stephen, Sean, Tony, and Wobbly, who said hello at the Supporters Club after the game on Saturday. I'm really thankful, to be honest, and I mean this, when people stop me and say that they enjoy the channel, that they enjoy the content, etc., because it kind of makes it all worthwhile. So my appreciation to you, lads. Thank you for having a chat with me. Right. Whilst we wait on further transfer business, the confirmation that Guido Rodriguez is signing for Valencia, and that Adama Traore may or may not sign for West Ham, we have to reflect on the game against Sunderland and ask ourselves just how good and how important that win was. The FA Cup win against QPR a few weeks back was kind of expected, but, well received. The Premier League win away to Spurs last weekend was hopeful and left us all extremely happy when it happened. But for me, the win on Saturday against Sunderland in the Premier League was probably the most satisfying of those three wins so far. Don't get me wrong, every win right now brings a little more joy and a little more hope that we might just escape the drop into the Championship. But the win against Sunderland proved that the performance against Spurs last weekend was not a fluke. It wasn't a one-off. And that's why it was the most satisfying win of the last three so far as I'm concerned. The way we set ourselves up against Sunderland, the way we took the game to them, especially in the first half, had me start to really believe that perhaps Nuno has finally got it right. And we've got to mention, I cheekily suggested this last week, that perhaps assistant manager Paco Jemez, who's only just come to the club, ought to take some credit for our recent performances. And now I'm repeating this, but this time with a little bit more conviction and a little bit more seriousness behind it than before. Paco Jemez is the antithesis to Nuno's defensive-minded tactics. Jemez has only been with the club a few weeks, but all of a sudden, there's been a dynamic shift in the way we play our football. And you've only got to look at the bench to see how Jemez is constantly in Nuno's ear throughout most of the game to realise that this previously, I didn't know anything about him until now, this previously unknown Spanish coach is having more sway than perhaps we're giving him credit for. Now, despite being a defender in his playing days, Jemez is an attack-minded coach, and it shows in just how we set ourselves up and how we approach the game. From the first whistle, there must surely be a direct influence. We're far more attack-minded. Sure, again, for the third week running, we had a different first half than we did in the second. The first half was full of pushing forward, looking for openings, whereas the second half was a little bit more subdued, but the endeavour of attacking play was still there. We had 47% possession to Sunderland's 53. We had more shots, 13 for us, 7 for them. More on target, 5 for us and only 2 for them. Our pass accuracy rate has improved immensely over the past few weeks, 77% on Saturday. We're crossing the ball more, 13 attempted crosses. And it's interesting to see a tactical switch where if Summerville and Bowen can't cut in, then they're now prepared to take the ball to the byline and cross with their weaker foot. And it's proven successful as Bowen set up Summerville's goal with his right peg. And it's also the grafting stats that have improved as well. 64% success rate in tackles to their 46%. 16 successful tackles to their 6. 3 crosses blocked. They blocked none. 60 duels won to their 44. Basically, we're finally becoming a much more coherent team who is putting in the effort, not only in attack, but across the field completely. And we've got players who are willing to run, willing to shut down, chase 50-50 balls, but without losing our ability to create chances. We are becoming finally an all-round better football team because it looks as if we want to play on the front foot. And all this without who is supposed to be our best player, Lucas Paqueta. The ball is moving faster. The ball is being won quicker. The hard work can be seen in abundance from the keeper through to the defenders, to the midfield, and the players up front. Other tweaks have been made to make us more organised as a team. 2 up top. That's got to be a Paco Jemez credit because Nuno wouldn't play 2 up top. The midfield not packed out with holding midfielders. The return of grafter Thomas Souček to the lineup. The willingness of our new players, Pablo and Castellanos, to track back and get stuck in. The release of both Bowen and Summerville to express themselves is paying off handsomely. Summerville now has 3 goals in 3 games, and it would have been 4 in 4 had his goal not been against Nottingham Forest not been cancelled out because of offside. And all this is leading to decisions beginning to go our way. We're now beginning to get the rub of the green. There's hardly been a controversial decision made against us in the last 2 or 3 games because our whole demeanour, our whole attitude as a team has completely changed. Winning games improves confidence, and who knows, maybe it's not too late in the season for us to achieve the great escape from relegation. But additionally, the fans are now right behind the team at home. The fans are coming back because there's now something to cheer about on the field of play. The atmosphere for an early Saturday kickoff, I hate early kickoffs, but the atmosphere for an early Saturday kickoff was surprisingly good. And Nuno has been saying for some time that the connect between players and the fans is coming. And so it proved to be in such a dynamic first half where we went 3-0 up. I don't think any of us believed it at the time. We were all pinching ourselves. The fans created an atmosphere which kind of questions the whole issue about whether the stadium is fit for purpose. Aesthetically, no, it isn't. But when the fans see something to get excited about on the pitch, we respond accordingly. We're now 2 points behind Nottingham Forest, who face Brentford away today on Sunday, and we're 5 points away from Leeds United, who've got to play Everton away on Monday night. If the points difference remains the same after all this weekend's fixtures, then the dream of survival is alive, and we go into the Chelsea game away next weekend with yet more spring in our steps. Look, I've got to single out a few players from the game against Sunderland. And first of all, we've got to talk about Alphonse Areola. The stick this goalie has been receiving from some sections of the fan base for quite some time is just like, it puzzles me. You know, have we forgotten just how good a goalkeeper he is? And I'm so pleased to see him performing so well again. Some of the saves he's pulled off this season have been superb and have been point saving. All right, his distribution is not the best, but even that has improved somewhat with, again, a slight tactical twitch, probably a twitch, a slight tactical switch. Because what's happening now is one of the defenders is taking the goal kick, passing it to him in the 18-yard box, and he's taking the ball straight down the middle rather than trying to get it on the byline. And it's kind of working because you got Pablo in that kind of number 10, that was sitting in that hole just between the midfielders and the striker, being able to confidently nod it on down to Castellanos or someone else. I think we've just forgotten, like I've said, how great a shot stopper Areola is. And he reminds us time and time again, especially in the first half, when he kept the game at 0-0. Now, after his desperately unlucky error against Fulham a few weeks back, Ollie Scarles has taken that pain and turned it into a number of assured performances, and yet another one again against Sunderland on Saturday. And with Malik Diouf now back from AFCON, Nuno really does have a selection headache as to who remains our number one left back throughout the rest of the season. I've seen other players, I've seen people criticising, a lot of social media columns criticising Pablo. Now, although I agree that his £20 million price tag is questionable, there is no denying that in every game he's played so far this season, he's put in one almighty shift. He gets himself about. He's a nuisance to the opposition. He's played with more endeavour about him than some of the players who don't even want to be at the club anymore. And then, of course, there's Crescencio Summerville, who what a transformation he is over the last few weeks. And it's only recently that many fans were saying that it's great to see him running the opposition, running at the defence. We need more, but we needed more of that from him. Well, 3 goals in 3 games is definitely getting more from him. His confidence right now is sky high, and so it should be. And many are saying that perhaps he should be recalled back into the Dutch national squad. And why not? And then, of course, we've got the man in the middle, Matthias Fernandes. Now, how wrong was I when we bought him for £40 million in the summer? I turned around and said, look, I don't think he's a £40 million player. But for me, all of a sudden, he's the sort of player that could become the next 70, 80 million pound player at West Ham. At a time when we're bemoaning the fact that we're about to lose our Brazilian not so magnifico, Matthias Fernandes has really come to light. He's now a shining light in this team. He's been superb. His battling, his endeavour, his the way he muscles out the opposition, the way he keeps possession. You know, some may argue that Sunderland were missing Granit Xhaka, who seemed to be spending more time arguing with fans in the stands. I know he's injured, but some may argue that missing Granit Xhaka allowed Matthias Fernandes all that space in the middle of the park. But I don't know. I think he would have had that sort of game anyway. His passing range is like a bullet. His movement is swift. He's strong in the challenge, shields the ball well from the opposition. And then his shooting, even he didn't know he could shoot like that. 2 bullets today, or on Saturday. One which turned out to be a stunning goal. The other which left the crossbar rattling. He dominated the game. And he's made us realise there is life after Lucas Paqueta. What we did against Sunderland is a marker for the rest of the Premier League that we're not dead and buried just yet. Even though we didn't have the dynamic energy of the first half, we had the grit, endeavour and fight in the second half. And those qualities helped us to control the second half and nullify most of the threats coming our way. It would have been nice to have kept a clean sheet. Yet again, unfortunately, that seems to continue to elude us, which is a shame, really, because let's hope that the season doesn't pan out on goal difference. But we got Chelsea away, a tough ask, but play anywhere near the levels that we have been over the last few games. And who knows what might happen at Stamford Bridge next weekend.